I'm Leonard Elijah Shemtob.
And I'm Amir Araghi.
And we are the
The
Conscious Cup Podcast.
Podcast.
Just as many of us drink our coffee to get through our day, the Conscious Cup Podcast is about filling your soul with a guiding light of energy to navigate you through your week. And on today's show, we'll be talking about the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Mm-hmm. We also go through the grind, where we talk about upcoming events in the spiritual community. Then to filling your cup, where we get to the main subjects of the week, which today is the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. And then to what's brewing, where we take a peek into current state of global consciousness, aka the news. And finally, to spill the beans, where we discuss our weekly spiritual task that involves both you and us, and our accountability and our stories and how it all worked out for us and our reflection on them.
That's right.
And with that said, we ask you, what are you
filling your spiritual
cup with?
That's right. All right. We're getting there.
Good job, Amir.
All right. Good work.
Welcome
Thanks
back. Welcome back. We're going to go ahead and pour ourselves some tea in our fancy contraption here that matches our logo.
Yeah. We actually got, you're going to be able to see what kind of tea we're drinking today, because it is crystal glass today. We're drinking very, very Persian style,
That's
Leonard.
right.
I like it. I like it.
When in Tehran.
Exactly.
Roam free with your tea.
That is good.
So, we are excited and we are grateful for you. We're going to take this quick second to ask you to subscribe, like, and share. All your support, all your love has been greatly appreciated. Some of you are leaving comments. Many of you are not. Many of you are not. I'm talking to you right now. You know you wanted to leave that comment. You thought about it. You were considering it. Please just put it down. Ask CD. Ask CD. You have CD? Backwards spells iris, the all-seeing eye. Ask Siri to do it for you. Anyway, how's it been going with you, Amir?
Good. I wanted to. I had a really great experience today. Actually, I wanted to share before we got started. So I went on a nice long walk before sunset.
Okay.
And where I go walking, this is a path I don't often walk, but it is a really steep uphill. This street is like crazy steep uphill. Weather was really beautiful. It was starting to cool down. It's probably around like 6:30, so about an hour and a half or so before sunset. And I'm going up the hill, and then this breeze just started, and it just felt like amazing. And so I'm gonna show you over here on the laptop, but it was a really cool thing. And I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, man, it feels like a shift in energy. And I just like, wow, this is so interesting, because I feel like something is grumbling in the air. Like you could tell something was shifting. So I literally get to a car that says the 5D. So like a 5-dimensional.
The license plate says THE space 5D.
Yeah. And then I get to this in the sky, like an ethereal one that I said.
Explain it to them so they can.
Yeah, so this is it's like a really ethereal cloud that was in the air, and I thought it looked, in Farsi we have a symbolism, we say parasimor, which is like a feather of, essentially simor is like a phoenix figure, and in the Shahnameh what that represents is that you always have these feathers. And anytime that you want, when you set them on fire, this phoenix rises and comes to assist you in anything, in any way that you need. So I see this cloud, and I'm like, wow, that's really, really amazing, because the cloud was like ethereal. And then I walk by a sign, and the sign says, you are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here.
Wow, this is all right where you went on a hike?
Literally, I'll show you the timestamps on this with a peace sign in front of it.
So this all happened, and where is this?
This is in Sherman Oaks.
Wow, how neat.
So it was like all back to back to back, and like all this energy's going. And then literally, I don't even know, all of a sudden, I look up 5 minutes later, as I'm like going back, and there's a huge fire. And I'm like, this is like, there was an energy moving, something was going on, but it was such an interesting. I was gonna call you actually, but I was like, let me just
bring it to the table,
start it and show you, because it was so cool.
Neat.
But the timestamps of these, like, I'll show you, they were literally all together. I was like, it's a nice little synchronicity. Yeah. Yeah, it's all set. Did not start the fire. We didn't start the fire.
It was always burning.
So yeah, cool experience today.
That sounds really neat. I would have loved to have been there. All right, so with that lovely story and that synchronicity,
Well, let me ask you, how you been? How was your week? And a good day?
life's good, man. You know, I am grateful to be here. I'm getting better and better every single day in every single way.
You need another Grateful Dead t-shirt.
You know, I didn't
Grateful
wear the
always.
No, I'm
Grateful alive.
Life is good. Life is good. It gets better every day. It does. Okay, so let's head into the grind, spiritual events. I'll start. Here is a event for the financially well off.
Uh-oh.
The Chakra Immersion Retreat. Shadow work,
nice.
ego, koshas, trauma, the mind-body connection, the subtle body, in the Topanga Canyon.
Ooh.
Who doesn't like the Topanga Canyon, right? Don't buy houses there. I'm trying to find one, and I don't need you guys to take the property out. I'm just kidding.
The address is no. I'm just
This thing is $2,550.
Wow.
That's for camping or commuter spot. If you want to rent a house, they have a cabin. The price does go up, of course. $2,650 for the cabin. If you want to get the main house, it's $2,850. Bottom floor of the loft, there's $2,650. So about $2,000 to $3,000. They have all types of different options. It's a 100% plant-based food they're offering. It starts on Tuesday and it goes all the way till Sunday, with breakfast, classes, breakouts. It's like an adult summer camp. They're all in it together. They have shared spaces, yoga classes, activities such as hikes, wellness treatments. There's a private chef there. All types of really, really great stuff. The teacher is Cian Korn, an internationally renowned yoga teacher and public speaker. 25 years of teaching. She's tons of stuff, tons of history here. I mean, you can read more about her. It's on wetravel.com, wetravel.com, and it's called the Chakra Immersion Retreat. Again, working with shadow work, ego, trauma, mind-body connection, the subtle body. There's tons of stuff here, too much to go into, and I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm going to leave it at that. If you want to go, the dates are... That's a good question. We should have that. July 25th to the 30th.
Oh, so coming up.
Yeah,
Okay.
July 25th to the 30th. So that's it. It's on a 10-acre property in Topanga.
Wow.
So, I mean, it should be a fantastic way to get away and get your summer right,
Yeah. Apparently they put gold leaf on every meal too.
100% plant-based.
Yeah, exactly.
Plant-based.
Very cool. That's awesome.
All right.
wetravel.com.
wetravel.com. Chakra Immersion Retreat.
Cool.
Cian Korn. C-S-S, not C. S-E-A-N-E Korn. All right. And I have a second one, but I'm going to let you do yours, and I'll go afterwards.
Yeah, we got a few today. So mine is real quick. It is a program called The Ecstatic Heart. Sufi music of Afghanistan meets the divine.
Ooh,
Poetry
I like
of
Sufi music.
Rumi. So this is happening actually in the Valley. It is on July 28th at 8 p.m. It
What
is
day of the week is
donation
that?
based.
What day of the week is July 28th?
July, that is a good question. Let's look. I believe that's a Friday, and it is. Yeah, it's a Friday,
Okay.
Friday night, 8 p.m. And it's got a whole ensemble. It's led by Yuval Ron. And it should be pretty interesting. 20301 Ventura Boulevard, Suite 350 in Woodland Hills, very close to Taft High School. Essentially, it's donation based. The suggested donation is $40 on
Suggested
that, and
donation.
so yeah. So it should be nice. It should be
It
a
sounds
nice of
wonderful.
music mixed with some Rumi poetry.
I've done something like this before at Liberate in Sherman Oaks, and I had a blast. It was so nice.
Yeah,
It was just beautiful music. Everybody there is in a good attitude. No one's coming there with a bad attitude.
Yeah.
You know, if you're there, you're a spiritual guy, you're interested in love and light and all that kind of stuff. So the whole room is just filled with good energy, and they're playing music and everybody's happy. It was like, I was like, this is great. Like, this was such a good experience. And I ended up talking with the band afterwards, and it sounded like the same guy.
Amazing.
He was the Israeli guy, though.
I think this guy's Israeli.
That's him, because the name sounded so familiar. Yeah, so I've seen this guy. Yeah, that's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the guy. He's great. That's the guy I went and saw. I'm talking. The whole story I'm telling you is that guy.
Testimonial.
He's wonderful. He's an Israeli guy, and he's so sweet, and he's got a good attitude, and he's just a pleasure. You're gonna love it.
We just got to tell him it's the Sufi music of Iran and the poetry, not necessarily
Israeli
Afghanistan at the time was Iran.
Anyway, if I can come, I'll come to this.
Okay, awesome.
But I don't know if I would have to bring live, and I don't know how late I can keep him there. But anyway, that's to be discussed later. It's not for you guys to hear all about. Okay, next. This one's a bombshell one. Okay,
I like it.
Because I've done this in length with this guy who's I'm going to tell you about his event. Okay, Quantum Hypnosis Healing Therapy, QHHT.
I've heard this.
I did it. It was like a 7-hour. I should actually talk about this in one class specifically, but it was a 7-hour hypnosis. I went under. They brought the higher self forward. I could feel the higher self talking and me separate. I was able to distinguish who was talking when. They asked questions. They showed pictures in his mind of what he saw, and then they, it was really intense and amazing. And I actually got out of it at some point because I had to go to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, I'm not that. I'm like, this is kind of like in the beginning. I was like, this doesn't seem like I'm that deep into meditation. But I had to walk to the bathroom, which was from this guy's guest house to his main room. And it was a catastrophe, like running like a 2-minute mile, like impossible to get my feet together to get to the bathroom. Yeah. It took me like, I can't tell the story here on online because it's so hilarious and using the bathroom, etc. But it was like I realized how deep into it I was, and when I came back, I was even deeper into it. Anyway, this guy it's Jeroen DeWitt. That's his name, Jeroen, Jeroen. He studied under Dolores Cannon. Dolores Cannon is the one who taught all this stuff. Okay, this is a small class. It's cheap. It's $25. It's at Liberate, the place that I saw that gentleman we just talked about.
Nice.
On Saturday, July 22nd. It's just an hour, 7 to 8, $25. It's also live stream if you can't make it. July 22nd, Saturday, 7 p.m. And he's going to do a 45-minute past life regression meditation where you can kind of get an idea of what he does and you can work on it yourself. He's been doing it since 2006. I've experienced it with him directly. Again, he says here, personal sessions are typically 5 to 6 hours long. And
nice.
That's what I've
cool.
experienced. So it's obviously more expensive if you're going to do that. But this is something to like get your appetite wet.
Yeah.
Have an appetizer and see if this speaks to you.
Yeah.
A friend of mine also did it, and he was able to see himself in a past life with his wife, and they couldn't have kids, so he was angry about it. He was able to see it perfectly clear and how he's holding on to this resentment to her. And I mean, it was like very, very interesting stuff. Anyway, so that's at Liberate in Sherman Oaks on Ventura or online. Saturday, July 22nd, 7 to 8 p.m. You could probably just call Liberate or look up Liberate and see what it's about.
Awesome. I love that. I might go too. That's a Saturday night. So, yeah, $25 sounds pretty good.
Not bad at all.
As
right?
We were saying with our friends last night, we were saying $20. We're like, oh, that's pretty much what a Happy Meal costs at this point. I was like, really? And I guess it
Happy
really
Meal
does.
costs a lot more than $20, actually.
Does it?
For your health, sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. The final one on the grind, we got we got the location set for the deep discussions.
Deep dinner. I love the name.
But
Deep dinner.
the deep discussions occurring that I'll be leading Sunday, August 6th.
Great.
It's going to be in West LA. If you are interested in that, just leave a comment. You can reach out directly to us via YouTube.
We'd love it.
Or to me if you need, number, whatever. I won't say it over.
It's only $600, but if you buy now, we'll give it to you for like $30.
Yeah. No. $30 off. So $570 now.
Okay.
No, it's
sorry, I got the memo wrong.
It's this is the cheapest one of the events, $10. So $10.
For first time subscribers, you have to be a subscriber to get that price.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're not a subscriber, it's $12.
$600. But very much looking forward to it. Thank you to Yolanda. She is our host.
Thank you, Yolanda.
And very, very much looking forward to that. So I'll have the details there. If you need them, just reach out.
I'm super excited about it.
Comment below.
Yeah, comment. Just say anything in there.
Yeah.
Say Big Bird. Someone put Big Bird in the comments. That's why I know you're listening. If someone puts Big Bird.
Yes. We'll get you something good. The first person to comment Big Bird, we'll send you.
We'll give
nice
you
prize.
$1 off the Sunday social.
Yeah.
We'll give you 10%
Yeah,
off.
yeah,
10% off.
10% off. There you
10%
go.
off.
Yeah,
It's all about
got
how
it.
you. It's all about your perspective.
There it is.
10% off sounds a lot better than $1 off.
Is, yeah. Awesome. So those are good events. We hopefully we'll have the video up by the time
We may not.
most of these events are actually happening.
There's
but,
our editor. He's great, but he's just not as fast as we'd like.
yeah. All good. Everything happens when
It's
should.
supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes. And on that
So-
note, I'm gonna fill my cup.
Yes, and we are going to move on to actually, literally in our podcast, to filling your cup. So, Mr. Leonard, what is on tap? This week is your week.
So today is a fun one, guys. I don't know how many of you guys have interest or have studied anything about the Buddha, but his teachings have made a gigantic impact in my life. And I'm going to start with the Four Noble Truths. Let me get to the notes here somewhere. I got a lot of stuff here. The Four Noble Truths. 1 second. Sorry. Give me some Jeopardy music. The Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. Okay. Some of you may have heard of these things. That's great. It's always nice to hear them again. The Four Noble Truths are the most basic expression of the Buddha's teachings. And Venerable Sariputta once said that they encompass the entire teaching, just as a footprint of an elephant can encompass the footprints of all other beings on earth.
Nice.
So the Four Noble Truths is kind of like the essence of Buddhism. Now, Buddhism is known for their lists. They have tons of lists. And this is just some of them. But these are important ones, and we may do another list another time. And there's 2 lists that we're going to be doing today, and they have a very good tie together. Again, the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. So the Four Noble Truths start with the truth of suffering, which is called dukkha. Okay? And before I get into that, I want to take a little break about and give you the story of Buddha, Siddhartha Buddha. Just the big beginning of it to as he got to this point where these kind of things mattered so much to him. So many, I don't know if you know or not, but he was born into a royal family. The Shakyamuni family, they're kings. He was born as a prince. And very well off, very well off. And when he was a young child, they brought a soothsayer, like a fortune teller, astrologer type person, to the castle. And they said, tell us about my son. The king said, tell me about my son. And the guy came back and said, your son has either the propensity to be a very incredible, leader and commander and king, or he has a propensity to be an amazing teacher. And whatever you decide to do is what will happen, is what he told him. So the king, in fear that his son would find a way out to be a teacher and would, not take over the reins and the riches of the kingdom, he sheltered the Buddha from Siddhartha. That was his name. Buddha means awakened one, but Siddhartha. They sheltered Siddhartha so that he wouldn't have any feeling of discomfort or any type of suffering. He lived a very cush life. He never left the palace. And as he got a little older, he said, and they wanted to marry him quickly. They were like, find someone to marry him so that he's stuck into this life, So he one day said, Dad, I want to leave and see outside the palace walls. I want to see the kingdom. So they said, sure. They arranged a period of time ahead that they would take him out. And what the king and the king's men is, they gathered up all of the finest people in the city, and they made a parade so that the Prince Siddhartha could see the wonderful city as it was. So he went and he saw the city, and it looked great, and everybody was polished up, and only young folks who looked good, and the ideal model citizens, or whatever you want to call it, were shown. Then he was wise, obviously Siddhartha Buddha was wise, and he later on said, it didn't sound right, it didn't seem right, the people I saw. There's something more going on here.
Yeah.
So he asked his chariot driver to take him out in the city and show him around. And at the age of 29, he made 3 successive chariot rides outside the palace grounds and saw an old person, a sick person, and a corpse. All for the first time in his life. He never saw those things. So he started to ask questions like, why is this person sick? Do I get sick? Do people get sick? And the chariot driver was like, yes, all people get sick. At some point, you will get sick. Everybody gets sick. There's suffering there. And he said, what about the dead person? He said, all people die. That's a corpse. That's how it is. And what about the the old person. We all get old age and back hurts, and we walk this way and all those kind of things. And he said, yeah, you can't avoid that suffering. It's suffering that we all face. And that was there's way more to the story. But I want to get to you is that he was the first time he realized the suffering. And in his life before that, suffering didn't exist. So, because everything was so cush. Then now let's go back to the Four Noble Truths. And the first one is the truth of suffering, dukkha. Life inevitably involves suffering or dissatisfaction. Even when happy, we have the fear that the happiness is ending. Okay? This is a very interesting concept. All right? And I'm going to put it in simpler terms, in terms that I kind of learned about this without even knowing Buddhism. I started to realize the suffering in this is that, like, in the material world of wanting something, okay, we can use a car, or for me, like sneakers, because I have this thing with sneakers, or I did really, is that, like, you're always chasing the next one, or like you get a car and you don't have a car. So right now, I don't have a car, let's say, and I see a nice car on the road and I'm like, oh my God, I really want that car. I really want that car. It looks so good. So right now I don't have the car. I'm suffering because I don't have it. So then I go work hard to assess the funds, negotiate, find a car dealer, whatever it may be. That's suffering and working and all, doing all those things too. And you finally get the car, right? And you're like, great, I got the car, but it's just a small high. You know what I mean? It doesn't last forever. So even when you get that happiness, that dukkha, right? Or sorry, the sukha. Sukha is called like the joy or the happiness, and dukkha is the opposite to suffering. Even with the sukha, there's an inherent dukkha because you know that this isn't it. This isn't it forever. And that's why, like, the people who keep buying another watch, another pair of sneakers, another car, whatever it may be, it's like they're just like, I want that same high again.
Right.
But they haven't learned yet that that's not an everlasting high.
Right. Well, drug addicts and all that, they always chase that. They always say that, especially addicts of really hardcore drugs like heroin.
Mm-hmm.
They always say that they're chasing that very first high that they felt. They keep chasing that because there's something else there. Really, it's fleeting, and there's something causing it. That's the issue. So
let's go to Rumi, who you're really familiar with. Doesn't he have a quote, or is it Shams that says something like, "I will show you like one desire to end all desires, or one something to end all others," right?
I don't know that specific one.
I don't know it by heart, but it's like basically something like the one thing to end all other things. And it's like you have this one desire, right? To like, you have the one desire to like seek the creator and become one with the creator, for example, right? It ends all other desires to like have smaller things. Right. And it's like when we don't know what it's all about and we don't understand the whole purpose and all these kind of things that we're talking about on this podcast regularly, and we're all on the spiritual path for it that are listening, we go and do these smaller high searches. Like, I want to buy another car or another shirt or whatever it could be. I need to get another meditation. I need to do another meditation. It could be anything, right? So the dukkha, the suffering, exists. It's something we can't avoid, right? But we can learn how to deal with it, and that's what this is about, right? But being born in a body here on this planet comes with suffering. It's inherent. It inevitably involves suffering, okay? It could be characterized by dissatisfaction. It just doesn't revert to physical or emotional pain. It also can include more subtle forms of dissatisfaction that arise from impermanent and changing nature of all things, because everything's impermanent, right? Relationships are impermanent. Your body's impermanent. Only what's not born doesn't die, and only what is born will die. So that alone causes suffering. Right. To understand that if it's born, it's going to die at some point. Right. So these are the things that, birth, aging, illness, death, they have suffering in them, okay? So that's the first of the Four Noble Truths is the truth of suffering, dukkha, okay? The next noble truth is samudaya, which is the truth of the origin of suffering. Mm-hmm. Suffering is caused by desires and attachments. Mm-hmm. The second truth points to the causes of the suffering. The primary cause is desire or craving. Tanha is what craving is, craving, which includes not just desire for sensual pleasures, but also desire for existence and non-existence on a higher level if you go to like metaphysically. These cravings arise due to ignorance or avidya of the true nature of the self and reality. It is a misunderstanding that we are separate, permanent entities, which leads to grasping and aversion and ultimately to suffering. Yeah. Beautiful, right? Yeah. That's the second. The third noble truth is nirodha, the truth of the cessation of suffering. Okay. It's possible to end suffering by relinquishing these desires and attachments. Right. The third truth is good news. Suffering can be ended. The cessation of suffering is achieved by extinguishing all forms of craving and attachment. The state of liberation, also known as nirvana or enlightenment, a state of ultimate peace and happiness where no one is longer bound by the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. So that was like the Buddha's mission, and like the raw material talks about it, is that he went from third density to eighth density. He passed through the whole octave in one lifetime. And his teachings are designed, those lists that he's giving that I'm talking about are designed to help you move through these densities, through this octave as fast as possible so that you can get out of suffering. And it's like a real roadmap. That's what's so awesome about it. It was like a real roadmap where I was growing up and I was raised Jewish, and there's Christianity around as well, and there's Muslim teachings as well, and they all have good stuff in them, right? But none of the Abrahamic desert religions, in my opinion, offer a roadmap to the top of the mountain. They have clues. They have interesting ways you can learn about things, but they don't have an actual roadmap. Yeah. But in Buddhism, it's like, here's a roadmap to get to enlightenment, Anyway.
Which can be dangerous.
Well, not everybody wants to get out of here as fast as possible. See, his teachings are the fast route, right? But not everybody wants that.
Yeah, even that though, right? I mean, that I always go back to Prism of Lyra, and it's because that in and of itself is an attached desire.
Right. So you have to let that go, obviously, as part of the game. Yeah. And also, Buddha says all the time that my teachings are like a raft. When you get to the other side, you don't carry them with you.
Right.
You use them until you don't need them anymore, and you let them go.
Yeah, they're gone. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to do him justice here in a half hour or whatever.
This is beautiful. I'm just absorbing because I haven't heard this.
The fourth noble truth is the truth of the path leading to cessation of suffering, Magga. The way to relinquish desires and attachments is following the Eightfold Path. So here's another list, the Eightfold Path, that explains how to get to a place where you get to cease the suffering. Okay, and that's what we're going into. All right, so that was the Four Noble Truths. Okay, take a sip of your water, a deep breath, whatever. We're going to head to the next segment, which is going to be the Noble Eightfold Path.
So the Noble Eightfold Path relates to the fourth truth.
Yes.
Okay, so that's where it unfolds essentially into that. Yeah, okay.
This path provides a practical guidelines for ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom, which together can lead to the cessation of suffering. Okay, so these are the different things that you can do and practice. Okay, and that's a spoiler alert for Spill the Beans. These are the different things you can do and practice to get yourself on the right path to cease the suffering, okay? First one is right understanding or right view, okay? Right view. I mean, just think about what that says, right? Like, it means self-explanatory in a way. I'll give a couple sentences about it, but right view. If you have right view, right, a lot of suffering can cease, right? Which is like having the right perspective of something, right? Or no perspective at all, right? This is the correct understanding of the Four Noble Truths, which are the truth of suffering, the origin of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. It is the understanding that our actions have consequences, that death is not the end, and that our suffering is ultimately caused by our mental and emotional attachments. That is a small summary of right view. That view will allow you to look at things differently and reduce your suffering. Right intention or right thought? You want to say something?
So whenever I hear right, I've redefined it for myself, and I just want to share this with you because I always look at right as a right angle, meaning that it is perfectly aligned. And why that's really interesting is because this full alignment creates something where there is no shadow, meaning it is a direct connection. It is perfectly aligned. There is no attachment. There is none of that. And the reason I've kind of redefined right for myself in that way is because there is no opposite to that. There's no wrong. It's just right, right? Like you're either 90 degrees.
So you'd say you have a right view on right.
But yeah, I just semantically, because in and of itself, again, the reason I'm going there is it releases judgment. Right, because there's no wrong way to look at anything, but there is a very grand way to look at things. There's a very neutral way of looking at things, which is taking your perspective as high as you can, and when you do, it automatically comes with enlightenment, and that pinnacle of that point is empathy. And so empathy never says wrong. So anyways, just a little tangent, but
Right. So this is
for you to
and right to what you said. Haha. But this is the what they're writing here, and also it's the right view if you want this, you know. And you can look at it as the angular. You could say this that, but it's like if you want
aligned view
if you
for
want if you want to make a cake, the right recipe for this cake is this. So you can make a cake that is different. There's nothing wrong with making a different cake, but if you want this specific cake, this is the right way to do it. That's all.
Right.
That doesn't mean that if you make a cake that's different, it's a bad cake.
Right.
It's just not going to yield
Right.
this cake.
That's exactly
That's all.
my point. Is just there's no wrong way to do it. It's just this is the path here.
Okay, so we have right view, and we're heading to right thought or right intention. This is the commitment to cultivate the right attitudes. It means to approach life, people, and situations with a mindset of compassion, goodwill, non-harming or ahimsa, to be harmless, renouncing greed, hatred, and delusion. It's about deliberately choosing thoughts of love and understanding in your daily life. That's right thought. Then we head to right speech. Okay. This is what I'm going to read right speech carefully, and this has to do with our Spill the Beans, so pay attention if you want to participate in Spill the Beans later. Right speech involves speaking truthfully, harmoniously, kindly, avoiding lying, divisive speech, harsh words, and idle chatter.
Nice.
Right speech is a way to promote understanding and harmony in relationships and communities. The Buddha described these 4 aspects of right speech. It's actually 5. Abstaining from false speech. This is not about just lying and deceiving. It involves speaking the truth consistently and being reliable in what we communicate. Abstaining from malicious speech. This means not speaking in a way that causes division or discord among people. It discourages gossip and any words that are meant to stir up conflict between others.
Beautiful.
Abstaining from harsh speech. This means refraining from using aggressive, belittling, abusive language. It implies speaking kindly, gently, considering the feelings of others. Abstaining from idle chatter. This involves not engaging in frivolous talk that lacks purpose or depth. It encourages speaking at appropriate times, which is the next one, timely speech. This essentially means speaking at the right moment and at the appropriate context. Timely speech recognizes that there's a subtle time and place for everything. So it's like before you speak, right? When I was studying Buddhism, it would say, before you say something, run it through these checks. Is it timely? Is it not idle chatter? Is it not harsh? Is it not malicious? Is it not false? Does it fit all those categories? And of course, is it timely? You know, because sometimes you may have something really good to say, but it's not the right time to say it. And all of those who are on this, listening to this podcast, who are married, you know it. You know that you've had some good things to say, but you say it at the wrong time, and it's not good.
Yeah. And that
To make the cake, certain things get put in the recipe at certain times. Or
Right.
when you're cooking dinner, you don't cook the mushrooms first; they cook the fastest.
Right.
You know, you got to wait on that. You put the onions first, for example, or whatever it may be. In summary, right speech in Buddhism is not about just what you say, but also when and how you say it. It involves making your speech truthful, beneficial, kind, and timely.
Yeah, that's very, very. That's just generally very, very important. You know, I love her for saying it. It's funny, but it's something that always stuck with me. Judge Judy, she said something hilarious. She goes, "There's a reason you got 2 ears and 1 mouth.
Yes.
It's because you got to listen twice as much as you talk." And it's true. A lot of the times, especially, look, idle chatter, by the way, is huge. Like, if you can just get away about talking about anybody
Gossip,
else
yeah.
on any level and just focus on just where things are at or where you're at.
Deeper conversations with
Just-
meaning.
Yeah. It's so important because it detaches you. And what that also does, this is something else I've found, is that when people are in idle chatter, if you just sit there and just absorb without saying anything back to them, they quit.
Yeah,
And the reason is because there's no receptor, right? When there is no receiver, as much as it keeps going out, even the person who just loves to talk, and there's people like that, that's fine. But at some point, there's no more gas in the gas tank, and all of a sudden they stop, and you're like, so how are you? Right?
Yeah.
And you change it, and that is really, really important, of being able to absorb and really non-engagement with that kind of chatter, that kind of speech.
So just before we go to the next one, I'm going to just give the top some of the bullet points here. So right view, right thought, right speech. So you're thinking right, you're have the right viewpoint, your speech is in alignment, and now we're heading to right action. This is in acting ways that are non-harming and beneficial, respecting life, property, and personal relationships, and includes principles like not killing, stealing, or engaging in sexual misconduct. It means acting responsibly and ethically in all aspects of life. So we're doing right action. Right livelihood.
Nice.
Next, right livelihood. This means earning a living in a way that is legal. Now, that's fine, but just because it's legal doesn't mean it's ethical. This is what they wrote at that time, which was thousands of years ago, but I'm just going to read it as it is. The meanings: earning a living in a way that is legal, peaceful, harmless, which does not exploit or harm others. It involves choosing a job or career that contributes positively to the society and aligns with your ethical principles. Simple as that. Next.
This really reminds me of the Zoroastrian saying with good thoughts, good words, good deeds.
Yes.
Right? It's
Yes.
totally lined up with
Totally.
that one leads from one to another
Yeah.
to another. It's almost exactly within that.
I mean, you will not suffer as much if you are doing the right things. If you're not,
You're
if
in the
you're
flow.
not, yeah, and you're not causing problems that need have consequences to come later. You're not saying harsh things to people where people are getting, bad energy towards you or anger towards you. You're not harming people every day. You're not creating these cycles of energy that need to be resolved down the road. And you're living a much lighter, peaceful life, an aligned life. So you'll suffer less, right? Effort. This is making a diligent effort to cultivate and maintain wholesome qualities while discouraging unwholesome qualities. It involves 4 aspects: the effort to prevent, the effort to abandon, the effort to develop, and the effort to maintain.
Beautiful.
For instance, the effort to prevent unwholesome states of mind from arising, and the effort to develop and maintain wholesome states of mind.
Non-engagement and idle chatter. There you go. That's a perfect example of it. Don't be a receiver and move into things that really are in alignment.
Absolutely. Next, right mindfulness. This involves cultivating a clear, focused, and aware mind.
Mm-hmm.
It means being fully present and aware of our bodies, feelings, and mind and phenomena without judgment or distraction. This is often developed through practices like meditation or mindful living. So now you're getting an idea. You're seeing how powerful these steps are. If you just work on this alone,
Yeah.
you're way ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Look around. Who is following these things? I mean, really, go turn on the TV. No one.
Right. Remember, one of the biggest things is if you are constantly, I'm hitting on this idle chatter because it's such a gigantically important thing. When you are focused,
Don't call Amir with gossip, okay? If you don't like my shirt, don't call him and talk about my shirt to him.
Really, please stop calling me. No, I'm just kidding. I like your shirts.
Mordechai, he's
By the
talking
way,
to you.
We're close today. I like it. No, but when here's what happens when we are not focused on the self, right? You immediately focus on an external. The external then becomes a projection of the internal on some levels, and the most devastating part of that is judgment comes in. But the other part that is really, really, really bringing the suffering out on that noble truth is, we hand over our sovereignty. Because now we are no longer in alignment, and something that is a complete illusion is running the show. It has nothing to do with you. And by the way, I'm just going to jump here because this is where I'm going, and I want to be really, really clear that it could be hypocritical on some levels, that when we do talk about the news, it is not for you to hand over sovereignty or for you to feel sad or if it's for you to get stuck. No, it is for you to become aware, and as you become aware, you release. There's nothing there. If something that you are gaining, quote unquote, and I'm really using this in quotes, if something that you are gaining is causing an issue for you, you're not gaining. If that makes sense. And I want to be really clear on that is that if you're not healing or allowing for a space for it to resolve or for it to enlighten, but rather to attach, it's not doing that work. And by the way, that can be converted into work, because that's the telltale sign that, hey,
That's what we're
something's
to be
up
doing.
here.
Yeah.
Dig. Going back to the very first step of this, right? That suffering, that addict. There's something going on that is not healing, and therefore it becomes an external attachment to this desire, in whatever level it is. So that's really, really big. Just stay away from it. Put the focus on yourself. When you do, you are then sovereign of your life.
Right.
Nobody else can. Nobody else is running the show.
Okay. And the last one of the Eightfold Path here is right concentration. This refers to the development of a concentrated, focused mind, often achieved through practices such as meditation. It's about training the mind to focus on one subject, such as the breath, to cultivate deep states of peacefulness, clarity, and equanimity. In essence, the Noble Eightfold Path teaches us to lead a balanced life, promoting wisdom, ethical conduct, mental discipline. It guides us to understand our experiences, cultivate positive intentions, speak truthfully and kindly, act ethically, earn a living responsibly, and make efforts to improve ourselves, maintain mindfulness, and develop concentration.
Beautiful.
The ultimate goal of this path is the cessation of suffering, leading to peace and enlightenment.
Beautiful.
And
That's
voila.
really, really nice. Really, really
Isn't it
beautiful.
nice?
Yeah.
It's very, very
Beautiful.
nice. Teachings are great.
It's
the
a
Buddhist,
nice
the
little
Buddhist teachings are wonderful.
roadmap to look at, nice little reminders, and honestly, this is why we also do, jumping forward, this is why we do Spill the Beans. Is not to take you anywhere, but it's just a sort of practice to get you there. I got a question for you.
Sure.
How do you meditate?
With mindfulness. So I like to meditate outside if I can, but my practice is really just a breath meditation. I listen to my breath, focus on the breath, and sometimes it goes away and I don't even hear the breath. And sometimes if I'm struggling, I'll count my breath, and how I count it is 1, 2, 2, and I'll try to go to 10. Now, if at 6 I lose and I go somewhere else, I start back at 1. Now, in listening to Joe Dispenza, which is becoming supernatural and all that kind of stuff, he's really great, especially for the technically minded person. He talks about each one of those times you go from 6 or whatever number back to 1 is like 1 rep. You've gone from you were the observer, then you became the mind by going and thinking about what am I doing tomorrow and all that, and then you caught yourself and you go back to 1, you become the observer again.
Right.
So it's like 1 rep, and like I tell people who are starting off their meditations, I'm like, this is a great way to get started. It's a Buddhist meditation, counting your breath like that. But what it does is we say, well, I'm not great at meditating. My mind goes all over the place, blah, blah, blah. People can say that, right? And it's like, well, the first time you went to the gym, did you have the muscle to do 10 reps?
Right.
10 repetitions of picking up the weight? It was too heavy, right?
Yeah.
So each time you bring your mind back to the 1, you've done 1 rep.
Right.
You see? So Joe Dispenza said, even if the whole meditation, 20 minutes, whatever it is you do, you just brought yourself back 1 time, you did 1 rep. That was 1 success.
Right.
You left being the mind and realized you weren't the mind, but the observer. So, that's my meditations are ranging from counting the breath to just listening to the breath to just being in the zone. Like
It's a lot of breath stuff.
It's breath stuff. Yeah.
Beautiful.
How about you?
I do it through non kind of standard ways. Cooking takes me there very much. When I'm in the flow, when I'm cooking, it feels completely and totally meditative. Hiking does it for me a lot. Just being out, I think hiking does it on 2 levels. It's a physical activity, and you're more with dirt and rocks and trees and grass and birds, and you're away from the noises of the urban. So that really, really I think is a good dual route to go. The third one's going to be kind of funny, I would say. I go to the batting cages, and I found that is one of the quickest ways to almost fall in a meditative state. Why? You are in such a state of awareness because the ball is
Sure, I've
coming
done batting
out
cages.
so extremely fast. And again, it's a combination of things because your entire focus becomes, all the noise goes away. So you become hyper focused on this thing. And simultaneously, because it's physical, similar to the hiking thing, you're also extracting any additional energy, any stress energy, any pent up, whatever it might be. And I didn't know this for myself, but I kind of realized this after a while. I'd leave the batting cages and I'd sit in my car and I was like zenned out, totally zenned out. And I'm like, why is this happening? And then I realized, I go, well, I'm in total awareness at that moment and I'm fully exerting myself. So any stress energy is physically going after. And if you see this with people who work out a lot, right? They say the same thing. Once you go to the gym and you get back, when you leave, you're in a very zen state because you're
Yes.
getting rid of that energy. But that one's a quick one, man. I mean, if
Right.
you've never done it, 3 minutes in the cage.
Well, I mean, riding my motorcycle to snowboarding,
Yeah.
all that stuff does that same thing. But I think it's a little bit different for me than sitting meditation because the amount of focus and concentration you have to cultivate, the muscle you have to cultivate to just listen to your breath
Mm-hmm.
is, to me, different than like what it takes to like ride a motorcycle or snowboard. You see, I'm giving my mind and my body a lot more to work with when I'm riding a motorcycle or snowboarding than I'm just giving it a breath. So the amount of muscle it takes and focus it takes to just listen to the breath, right? It's a much, in my opinion, for me, it's a much more challenging, whatever, opportunity or whatever you want to use the word, than doing a sport or doing and that's for me.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if they measured our brains, if we were to do like a brain cap and measure our brains and see like if we get to beta, theta, and all that kind of stuff when I do like snowboarding versus when I do breath meditation and see how they compare. I'd be interested to see that and wonder like, because it's like there's different forms of meditation, of course.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
making
actually,
music when I make music too.
Yeah.
You know, you get in the zone. I think that getting the flow state is
That's
a little
it.
bit different than meditation, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
yeah.
know, but whatever.
I think they can be combined. I
They
really
can be combined,
genuinely
sure.
do. And I think the elite athletes do that, right?
Well, their mind-body connection is
That's
right. But I've done that too, and I've played. I'm not an elite athlete, but I've been good at sports my whole life.
Yeah.
And I played, basketball for years, and I know those days where like I couldn't miss a shot.
Right.
I couldn't miss a shot, no matter how ugly it looked or how far it was. It would just always go in, and it was like I had everything aligned. But I wouldn't say that I was. It's the same feeling I get when I meditate.
But you can combine that. My point is that you can. That's my whole point of asking this is, and I hear what you're saying. I totally hear what you're saying because they're different practices, and that takes a very different level of focus on the internal vibration and state of being. But why I'm bringing this up is a twofold. Now that we're speaking of
Folds.
the folds, is a twofold component. One is that meditation can look very, 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 very different than what we have been taught. Of go sit in a corner, close your eyes, make the room dark, have no noise. That works, sure, that works. But you can also do it in many, many ways. But two is to start to bridge these things a little bit more and more together. Bring them together. Bring that energy together. Bring the physical together with the mental, with the spiritual. And that is where you really fall into that state. So again, for you, when this is meditative, do what works for you. And that's literally why I asked the question, because we all meditate slightly, and also could be very, very differently.
They say that eventually you take that meditation from the mat to the world. That mind state goes from the mat to the world. I think that's kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we head to what's brewing?
That was awesome. That was great. Do you mind just reading the four, just the main points and then the eightfold path?
So we have, going from the top.
It's a good little reminder as we're doing it now.
Sure. The Four Noble Truth, the truth of suffering, dukkha. The truth of the origin of suffering, samudaya. The truth of the cessation of suffering, nirodha. The truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga. Now we're out to the noble eightfold path: right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Beautiful. All right. My two cents on this. It's a paradoxical one. You know how much I love paradox. The attachment to the illusion causes suffering. The more suffering you have, the more you fall into the illusion.
Oh, I say that all the time.
It is literally within that. One causes the other.
Absolutely.
And remember this, we've often been told, when I say, oh, that person's spiraling, how do you look at it? Typically, not you, society. When we say that person is spiraling, we usually look at it as what? A downward spiral,
yes,
right?
yes.
That is a downward spiral. That one causes the other, causes the other, causes the other, causes the other. Note for yourself, there is also upward spiraling.
All the spiraling is upward. Everything is seeking the creator.
It's
Everything
like-
is growing like this towards the creator.
Yeah, so
That's how you can tell that these things also want to grow and expand. They're
Yes.
already going towards the light.
That's right. It is just remember that. You can
You
spiral
can see it here in
up.
the forest that we're in.
Exactly, yeah. These trees, you know how much water we've given these trees, me and Leonard?
They're very old.
Daily.
Very old trees.
Daily. Oof.
We're filling their cup.
We're 270 years old each.
We're filling their cup.
I'm almost 271 this year, by the way.
You look very young for your age.
But yeah, thank you. I also
You have
just
a wonderful plastic surgeon. You should put the link in the bio in the
Dr.
link.
Tree,
Put the link for your
Dr.
surgeon.
Bush. Real quick on the speech, I want to read something. Good reminder on this, not to focus on the illusion. And so much of that in our world is speech, news, social media, with other people. The vocal part of the illusion is one of the strongest ones that works. And I'm just gonna say this.
Go ahead.
This is from Emerald Tablets. It says, repeat thou not extravagant speech. Neither listen thou to it, for it is the utterance of one not in equilibrium. Speak thou not of it, so that he before thee may know wisdom. Silence is of great profit. An abundance of speech profiteth nothing.
As we speak abundantly to you about these topics.
Yeah. So you are the one with wisdom. We're just extravagant speech.
Right. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for that. I
Thank
love
you.
that
That
on
was-
the spot. You just pulled that up. Great.
Yeah, thank you, Leonard. That was awesome. The cup is definitely filled.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so now let's head to what's brewing.
Yeah, not
brewing?
a ton this week, which is fine. Some weeks we got a lot of news. This week, not a ton.
No news is
Good news.
seriously, right?
Yeah, there's some one is really, really funny and very, very short. The other one is a little bit of a throwback, but it is also extremely, extremely interesting. So this one just honestly makes me really like laugh. I don't even know, like, let's do it this way. Okay. July 10th, MSNBC does a report, and this is what it's called. Just listen to this. See how wacky this is. The far right's obsession with fitness is going digital. Why the far right is really into home fitness. Like, so what is this saying
What's
now?
wrong with that? What's going to be wrong with fitness?
Health now? If you're healthy and fit, you are a far right person.
Oh,
You're another label.
Jesus.
Is that not like, it's so crazy.
That's what do you call it? Speech, wrongful speech. That's petty speech, and it's what do you call it? What was the
Idle chatter.
Idle chatter.
Idle
That's
chatter.
total idle chatter.
But like,
man.
don't fall for this stuff. Could you imagine that
People believe
that
it, dude.
that they're writing first of all, what does health have to do with politics? Like, who even care? Like,
Oh, health has so much to do with politics, actually.
yeah,
That's the whole thing. That's what's so wild is health is all about politics. Politics is running the decisions that control your health. I mean,
on the illusion,
right, on the illusion.
the
sure.
illusion.
Yes.
So, but what
it
I'm
shouldn't
saying,
be. It shouldn't be, right?
it's-
Like Bill Gates shouldn't be telling us how to be healthy. What's his background in health? You see?
It's
So, yeah.
he's a technocrat, right?
But this is what's wild about this
But
illusion.
yeah, I thought that was
Amaya.
really funny to share with
It's
you
very
there.
funny.
Written
And
by
so
an
ridiculous.
amazing woman named Cynthia Miller Idris. She's just wonderful.
She wrote both of them.
Huh?
She wrote both of them.
No, this is the one. That was the Twitter and this lead, and that was the actual article lead. So
So she did the
don't-
favor of
don't
not making
fall
2
for that.
articles.
Like, are you kidding me? Health, like, yeah. I will say this: go be as fit and healthy as you can be. It's like ridiculous to even do. And what does it do? It takes your sovereignty away. Now you're listening to somebody who has just put idle chatter forward, and you're not doing that. So beware of that. Healthy now, you are a far right person.
Let me add something to that. So there's a movie that's come out called Sound of Freedom. Has anyone heard of it? Have you heard of
Yes,
it?
I have heard of it.
Jim Caviezel. It's about child trafficking and this and that, and the news has come out against it and is
Yes.
making comments about it like that,
Heavily.
like saying stuff like
Heavily.
that, like critiquing it in a way that it's like they're doing like petty stuff, like what Amir is saying here with this thing, like stuff that it's just so silly, like no one cares.
so
It's so
silly.
silly. They want to downplay it as much as they can, but anyway, Sound of Freedom is interesting. We're not going to go into it tonight, but people I know have seen it, have recommended it, and said it was really powerful. That's up to you to decide, but it's about child trafficking, and the guy who played Jesus in the crucifixion of Jesus, done by Mel Gibson, is one of the head people on this movie, Sound of Freedom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we may want to watch it and discuss it. We may not.
I brought this up several episodes ago before they had finalized like the thing of it, but I haven't seen. Have you seen it? Yeah, I'd like to watch it, but it is funny, right?
The only interesting thing is that it's financed. Some of it was financed by Carlos Slim. You know who that is?
He's the Mexican billionaire, right?
Yeah.
He has like the biggest telecom in Mexico.
There's some things about him that, from what I understand, are worth looking into. So
I'm sure.
But
Well,
whatever. The movie's
illusion on
supposedly
illusion.
amazing. Yeah, the movie's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be really insightful. Sound of Freedom. Anyway, go on.
I love it. That's awesome. I just pulled this one's a little bit of an archived one, but
All right.
I did want to pull it up. I gotta remember to link this. I could probably link this in the comment section or description section here. But
Subscribe, like, and share just real quick. Just
Yes.
right now. Subscribe, like, and share if you haven't. Go ahead. Like.
yes,
Press the thumbs up button. Go ahead.
Love it. Going back to it, what we were talking about of meditation. This is a CIA document that goes in extreme detail about transcendental meditation and how many studies they've done on that and how incredibly that it works. And so if you need reason to know, if you need another reason to know that this is going on, these documents were declassified a while ago. And they go into great detail about how transcendental meditation works. And look, they know it works. Why aren't they teaching us, right? Here's the good news. You can teach yourself. It's real. It's not that difficult. As Leonard said, just step in the gym, right? Pick up the smallest little weight. Do that little breath once a day. All good. You've done it. You've done it. You've taken your step forward. And so they've used this in extraordinarily detailed ways. If you haven't looked at some of this declassified information from the CIA, they've done this. Remote viewing is a big part of
Yes,
this.
the remote viewing. I know about that one. That is really.
it is
There's a whole Gaia
incredible.
thing about it. Gaia
Yeah.
show about the remote viewing. And,
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's really
the remote
nice.
viewing stuff is just to tangent off is extremely. Remote viewing is supposed to be when you are in your consciousness in a physical vehicle in this body, but that you can tap into a different time and space and remotely view, meaning that it is non-local. You're literally tapping into somewhere else and viewing a different time-space scenario to go there. What is very interesting, I don't know, you probably know this, most of their remote viewing things have to do with Mars. Have you read that?
Moon too.
Mars and Moon. They all of the people that they subjected who were known very, very telepathic and psychically connected people, they often ask them very specific questions about Mars, specific timelines about Mars, what they saw there and all that stuff. Now you tell me, the universe is really big. The Earth is really big. Why would you constantly ask about that? That is for you to find.
Yeah. See me on the Sunday special, and I'll tell you all about Mars. All right, let's talk about spilling the beans.
Spilling the beans. Let's review the one we did last week.
Yeah, let's review it. Go ahead, give them the scoop.
That was
the beans.
The one that we were talking about making decisions based on joy and or non-attachment. And again, I feel like everything that we do in some ways is themed along with this. Being present of where you are, what state are you in, and all that stuff. Do you have anything to share with us?
So I do want to share a few things. So I actually practiced a lot of the last week's, the week before's spill the beans, which was to still the water of the mind. So I had one of those weeks where I needed to still the water of the mind a lot. But I did have some scenarios come up where I was like, what would I want to do if joy was the most importance? You know, and it was small stuff like I want to go out with this person and we want to do something. What do I want to do? Like, what does the joy say? Or like, I want to go tonight and do something fun. But like, what do I want to do more? What brings me more joy? Kind of that kind of thing. And it was nice, you know. It was nice to be conscious of it and make that choice that was leading towards what I thought would bring more joy.
Nice. I love it. I had a quick little experience I'll share with you. And it's funny. Usually when we do spill the beans, oftentimes it happens for me very early in the week, meaning like if we're recording on Thursdays like we usually do, right? If we're doing that, it's usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when like
the beans are spilled.
Yeah, the it's going. This one actually happened yesterday for me on Wednesday. It was a chaotic day work-wise for me. Felt like deals were just falling apart. Everyone was just being kind of ridiculous in a lot of ways, like in every way that you can imagine. It was like friction after friction after friction after like bad attitude after like it was just intense. It's like around 1:30, I remember the time. And I was like, what am I attached to any of the results here for? And I literally pulled back. Like, I was just like, you're being attached to this and it's causing you suffering for no reason. Like, it's going to be what it is. I'm not kidding you. Almost like a minute and change later, email starts coming in, calls start coming in, everything like dominoes. It was like, bup, 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 bup. It just started to like fall.
So I wish you had explained the task like that. You know, I wish you had explained the task like that, because what I was under the impression of was ask yourself what brings you more joy and go that way. But looking at it and be like, what am I attached to the results for is totally different. Yes, it'll bring you joy if you do that, but it's like, that's a different thing.
Yeah, it was because it was a two-part one. One was to make decision based on joy.
Yes.
And as you're making that decision too, it's one step deeper that you can also look at it and say, am I even attached to the joy?
See, I must have not. See, the thing is, our editor didn't finish the podcast, so I didn't get to hear it again to get that part, and I just did the first part.
All good. Hey.
Well, now I have something extra to do.
Yeah, Time is
another thing to do. All right.
Awesome. I love that. What do we got this week?
So today, as we revealed earlier, we are going to be doing a practice of rightful speech. Remember what rightful speech is, and I can give a quick recap on it. But we're going to be practicing rightful speech. So basically, before you say anything, not anything, but before you say anything, you know, for the most part, before you're about to say anything, run your thought process, the words you're going to say, run it through this check system. Okay, the rightful speech check system, which is it truthful? Is it harmonious? Is it kind? Is it true? Is it timely? Are you avoiding divisive, harsh words and idle chatter? Are you promoting harmony and, going towards a positive, situation? Now, not like avoiding things that aren't good, like, oh, I got a bad
Right.
news. It's not that. It's not
Right.
suppressing, but it's like when you're talking with people, like run it through that. If you want to make a comment, like I had a scenario happen today where we were being playful and they wore an outfit that looked like Andre the Giant. Okay. And I was going to be playful and send a Andre the Giant picture and just say like, I love your outfit, just as a joke. But I ran it through the checks, and I was like, even though it would be fun and we both would laugh, right? It's not harmonious. It's not helpful. It was not true, really. Yes, it was similar, but not similar enough to say that.
Right.
It's a playful thing, but I was like, it's just not, I don't want that. I don't want to give, even for 1 second, if that person got that message and was like, oh man, my outfit does kind of look like Under the Giants. It's funny, haha. But now that's in their head, I did wrong. I caused harm.
Can we see this outfit, bud?
See, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. No. See this? So,
Don't judge.
the outfit was very nice. So, run it through those things. Run it through is it false? Is it malicious? Is it harsh? Is it idle chatter? Is it timely? Let's practice that. Like, imagine going a week with practicing right speech. It can create a ripple effect that you are able to start doing this in your life regularly. You don't have to participate in the the sewing circle
No.
about outfits and trivial matters.
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about your dish on Wednesday night at Spaghettini Jazz Grill for 45 minutes.
Or the rude waiter, or the person who cut you off, or whatever, what that person is wearing or saying, or their voice, or who cares?
Yeah, it's a practice, it's a practice. And if we keep this in our mind, and what we do with Spill the Beans is to use the practice. So run it through the checks, practice rightful speech for a week.
I love it.
And hopefully more.
For whatever reason, the one I really am clinging, there's two in there of the ones that you read, harmony and empathy. If for me, like that, those two really rang. Not that I'm saying don't listen to the other parts, just as a receiver of it, those two things is everything I'm saying going to increase harmony, and is it coming from an empathetic place?
Beautiful.
And,
Beautiful.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. We ask you one more time to subscribe. If you haven't already, hit the like button. It's a thumbs up button. Hit that button. It's right there. Look right. Yep. I think one of you guys got it. The other one, please do it too.
Right about here, right there.
And the comments are below. Put the comment. What do you think? Can you do the right speech? How was your Spill the Beans last time? Did you make decisions based on joy? Did you hear that there was 2 parts to that? Am I crazy? Or not? Is that rightful speech to call me crazy? How about that test? So make a comment, and may all beings be well and happy. May all have inner peace, inner joy, inner happiness, inner love. May all receive the love and the light of the Creator in their heart chakra. May all avoid the causes of suffering. Om Tat Sat, so it is.
Love you all. Have an
Thanks for listening.
amazing week. Spread love.
Thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Thanks for being with the Conscious Cup podcast tonight, guys.
Bye.